Cheaters tend to slip up in the dumbest ways, like forgetting to clear their search history. That's how I found out the truth. It all started about 10 months ago, just before our wedding. My fiancée, Lauren, suddenly got cold feet. No warning, no real explanation, just said she wasn't sure about getting married. We talked a lot during that time, and I gave her space. She stayed with her parents for a few days. After about a week or two of her going back and forth, we sat down and talked things through. She said she wanted to be with me. So we moved forward and tied the knot in the summer of 2021. A few months after that, she started a new job, and that's when she started talking about this guy at work. Said he was funny, always cracking jokes. At first, I didn't think much of it, but the way she kept bringing him up started to bug me. I met him once after work, and I don't know, something about him just felt off. A couple of weeks later, I was stuck working late one night. She was out with coworkers, and I noticed she was staying out way later than usual. We shared locations on our phones, so when she didn't respond to my texts, I checked. She was sitting at a McDonald's for almost an hour. When she finally came back to our place, she didn't come inside right away. I took our dog out and saw her sitting in the driveway, in a car, with that guy. They were just chatting. She got out when I approached. He had the nerve to try to shake my hand. When we got inside, I told her straight up that it wasn't okay. I wasn't cool with her spending time alone with him like that. She looked remorseful and said she didn't mean anything by it, that she crossed a line. I believed her. Up until then, I never had a reason not to. Then, toward the end of April, she went on a weekend trip to Colorado to visit some friends who'd moved there. When she got back, something was different. She was cold. Distant. I tried to talk to her, but she just went to bed early. 3 days later, my second to last day at a really tough job, we went out for drinks after my shift. I invited her to join, and she came, but she looked like she just rolled out of bed. Sweatpants, messy hair, barely said a word. Not her usual self at all. That night, after we got home, I asked her what was going on. It took forever to get anything out of her. Finally, she said she didn't want to be with me anymore. No real reason. Just said we weren't a good match. I kept pushing. Was there someone else? Was she gay? What was going on? She said she didn't know what she wanted in life and that she couldn't imagine having kids with me if she wasn't 100% sure. I stayed up all night trying to talk it out. She just went to sleep. The next morning, she left. Her Google account was still logged into my computer. That's when I found it, her searches. Things like, ended my marriage for another man. Astrology sign compatibility, song lyrics that were clearly about him. A few weeks later, she came by to grab her stuff while I was at work. She left behind one Christmas mug with the word joy on it. We'd found a sticky note in our dingy old apartment when we first moved in that said, "Yikes," and we left it up as a joke. I guess she thought it'd be funny to leave those two things behind, joy and yikes. When I asked her about it, she just said she thought it was funny. The divorce was quick, uncontested. We didn't have kids, and she didn't want our dog. She let me keep the apartment and most of our stuff. I'll give her that, at least she didn't drag it out. I asked her once if she thought I wouldn't find out about the cheating. She denied it all, of course. I just told her thank you for leaving. Because I clearly didn't know who she really was. And I sure as hell didn't want to be married to someone who disrespected marriage, frequented strip clubs, and could just walk away from their spouse like that. This is the first time I've really talked about it since it all went down last August. We haven't spoken since. And honestly, I don't think she cares. But I'm slowly getting to a point where I don't care either. It took a while to process everything. For New Year's, I made a resolution to stop thinking about her, stop letting her live rent-free in my head. Focus on myself. Easier said than done. But since then, I've dropped 20 pounds, been hitting the gym regularly, and I'm finally seeing real gains. I joined a Bible study, go to church every week, and even took a trip to Colorado with my brother. I've booked a trip to Europe too. I had 6 weddings to attend this year, including my sister's. That part was hard, not gonna lie. But I went to all of them. My new job's been amazing. I've gone on plenty of dates, but I haven't met anyone I really click with yet. There's a part of me that's still scared I won't. But another part of me is grateful she left. I don't think I would have had the guts to walk away unless I knew she was chasing someone else. And if she was that willing to jump ship and chase another guy, she wasn't worth my time to begin with. I've never been big on New Year's, but after the year I've had, I think we all deserve to feel some kind of hope on the horizon. I'm holding on to the idea that 2023 might bring some peace, healing, and happiness, not just for me, but for everyone who's been through it. My wish this year? That we all find the strength to move forward. That we stop living in the past, stop carrying around other people's damage. On the hard days, I hope we learn to be patient with ourselves, to practice forgiveness and hang in there. And on the good days? I hope we let ourselves really feel the joy, the elation. Let's be brave enough to walk into the unknown, even when it scares us. Let's face down our demons instead of running from them, and come out stronger on the other side. Let's spread love, even when it's hard. Not just to others, but to ourselves too. This year, I'm chasing authenticity, not just in the people around me, but in myself. I want to rediscover who I really am, and live like that person matters. 2023 is going to be about growth. About crawling out of this hole and figuring out who I'm meant to be. As for the traitors? Leave them in 2022. Let the selfish, cowardly, dishonest people stay in the rearview mirror. Find gratitude for every moment, even the painful ones, even the betrayals. Because even those gave us something. And maybe most importantly, delete the texts. Toss the pictures. Let go of the urge for revenge or closure or to keep checking up on them. Stop tying your peace to someone else's actions. Let it go. Swim freely. Move forward boldly. Spread your wings and soar. That's my prayer for all of us this year. Happy New Year, friends. Here's to better days ahead. Second story. I've been married to my wife, Jessica, for just over 16 years. We've had our fair share of ups and downs. Funny enough, I told her she'd be my wife within 2 minutes of meeting her, and I meant it. She was the kindest woman I'd ever met. We have 2 kids, and they're my whole world. But things started changing after our second child was born. Jessica became distant. Depressed, maybe? I tried to support her, but she refused to talk about it or seek help. She suggested couples counseling, but this was during the recession. Money was tight. I was working 4 jobs and running a side hustle just to make ends meet. Therapy wasn't something we could afford, especially when she wasn't even willing to open up. Her moods would swing. Some weeks were okay, even great. Other times, she was downright cruel. Snapping at our daughter, making everyone walk on eggshells. I kept telling her I wasn't going to divorce her, that I'd work on our marriage no matter what it took. But when I saw her starting to take that anger out on our daughter, who's a lot like me, I knew something had to change. I told her if she wanted a divorce, I'd go along with it. The next day, she said she wanted to work things out. And for a while, it seemed like we were on the right track. She even saw a doctor and got on antidepressants, though she insisted on the lowest dose. Fast forward to 2020, and it all came crashing down again. She went back to being mean, disrespectful. Worse than before. When she talked to me, there was this tone in her voice, like pure disdain. And when I walked into a room, she looked at me like I was something she stepped in. It hurt. We never had an issue with intimacy. When things were good, we connected. But when she got into those moods, she just shut down. Still, I stayed loyal. I work as a bartender. Temptation is everywhere, but I never gave in. Even my sister assumed I must have been cheating, because she knew Jessica wasn't giving me anything for so long. But that's not who I am. Then, last month, we were at a wedding. Stayed in a hotel. I was hoping to get close, to reconnect, and she just said it, flat out. I don't want you. I think we should get divorced. We agreed we'd wait until after the holidays for the kids' sake. That night, she fell asleep 10 minutes later like it was nothing. I lay there with tears soaking the pillow for 3 hours, thinking that had to be the worst pain I'd ever feel. And then came today. About a week ago, she went to a party for our daughter's softball team. At midnight, she still wasn't home. I checked Life 360, and she was at Applebee's. Weird, but maybe she was meeting a friend for a drink. Still, the place closes at midnight, and she didn't leave until 1 a.m. I asked her where she'd gone. She said she went to a bar with people from the party. Never mentioned Applebee's. That bugged me. Then, 2 days later, she tells me her boss wants her to put a password on her phone. Something about work emails. And that's when the alarms started going off. I was already suspicious, but today confirmed everything. Her mom called and asked if I could swing by and help move a rug with her husband. I went over and helped, no big deal. When I finished, I stepped outside, opened the Life 360 app, and saw that my wife had left work. I decided to test something. See, she has this habit, she always has to be on the phone when she drives. So I called her. She picked up but sounded weird. Short. Like she wanted to end the call fast. Said she was talking to her mom. Problem was, her mom was standing right in front of me. I just said okay, and went home. When she got back, I asked casually, "Hey, how's your mom? Did she mention I stopped by?" She said no, and asked where I saw her. "At her house," I said. "When I called you." Her face just crumbled. She looked like someone had pulled the rug out from under her. She tried to come up with some weak excuse, but eventually she admitted it. Said she'd been seeing someone for a few months, even before we officially decided to divorce. I was floored. Completely blindsided. 10 minutes later, she was acting like nothing happened. I don't know if it was to keep the kids from catching on or if she just didn't care that she'd gutted me. But honestly, I think it's the second one. It felt like she just didn't give a damn. I couldn't talk to anyone about it because we haven't told the kids we're splitting yet. And that night, we had to go to the Christmas village, pretend like everything was fine. I walked around all night with a fake smile while my insides were in knots. My son noticed and said, "You sound hurt." And he was right. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. The divorce was already overwhelming. I've unintentionally dropped 20 pounds in the last month from the stress. And now this betrayal, on top of everything else, hit me like a freight train. I've spent the last 15 years helping pay off her $110,000 in credit card debt, $15,000 in student loans, and a $44,000 car. And now, I might owe her $40,000 in equity for the house. It's brutal. But I'll deal. I was finally starting to mentally prepare for the divorce, and then this. In the last month, she's hurt me in ways I didn't think were possible. She's become a stranger. I don't recognize the woman I married. I don't know what to do about our daughter either. She's going to be devastated when we tell her about the divorce. But should I tell her why it's happening? I don't want her to hate her mom. I'm stuck. Confused. Heartbroken. And when I look at Jessica, it's like she couldn't care less. Thanks for letting me vent. Like I expected, this isn't over yet. It's only been a few months. About a week after that last post, I caught her messaging him, on Facebook, through her computer. That's apparently how they've been communicating. Probably to avoid texts her phone plan might log. Made sense once I figured out who he was. Turns out the guy is married. With 3 kids. And a doctor. And rich. Yeah. That one stung. I've been working 3 jobs to scrape by while she's out chasing a guy with a 6-figure salary and a nice house. On Christmas, I found out she'd already told her entire family, and my sister and my cousin's wife, that we were divorcing. I hadn't told anyone. I didn't want it getting back to the kids until after the holidays. But clearly she didn't care. She left out the cheating part, of course. I couldn't even talk to her mom on Christmas. She was already teary-eyed, and I didn't want to cause a scene. So I arranged to talk with her privately a few days later. The next day, Jessica and I had a conversation. I told her I didn't want her seeing him until this was over. It was just plain disrespectful. If she wanted to divorce and still be on decent terms, she shouldn't treat me like trash in the process. She agreed. We also sat down and figured out how to divide everything. All things considered, I think I did okay. No alimony, no child support. We agreed on 50-50 custody, and we'd each provide clothes and essentials for the kids. Everything else was split evenly. I'm keeping the house, but I have to pay her $43,000 in equity. In the end, she walked away with about $40,000. She also has zero debt now, a clean $800 credit score, and $10,000 less to pay her dad, all thanks to me. When I finally spoke to her mom, she told me Jessica had confessed to the affair, after first denying it. Her mom was furious. Really let her have it. Then she called me in tears, afraid I was going to cut her out of my life too. I promised her mom I'd never cut her out of my life, and I meant that. Fast forward to mid-January, and I've now lost 40 pounds. I've been going to the gym every day, it's the only thing keeping me sane. But the time had come to finally break the news to our kids. I told Jessica from the beginning, I wouldn't lie to our kids. But I also wasn't going to throw her under the bus. I said if they asked questions, I tried to steer the conversation gently, not protect her lies, but not expose her either. She said she felt the same way. Thing is, I knew our daughter wouldn't buy that for a second. She's 14 and basically a younger version of me, sharp, observant, and allergic to BS. Sure enough, before we could even sit down and say anything, she asked point blank, "Are you guys getting divorced?" When we sat them down officially, Jessica confirmed it. And they lost it. Tears everywhere. My daughter sobbed. My son broke down. And seeing them like that, I broke too. I started crying right there in front of them, something they'd never seen. Then Jessica made a massive mistake. She said, "Listen, we both want this." And that was it. My daughter snapped. Full on screamed, "That's bullsh*T. My dad would never want this. You want this. Look at him. He's crying. I've never seen him cry in my life. This is you." Then she asked the big one, "Are you cheating on him?" Jessica tried to dodge the question. Tried to change the subject. But my daughter wasn't letting her off the hook. She kept pressing, yelling, "Tell me the truth," over and over. And Jessica cracked. She confessed. It was surreal. In under 3 minutes, our daughter got more truth out of her than I did in a month. Later, I had one-on-one talks with the kids. My 12-year-old son just needed to know things would be okay. That life wouldn't change too much. He's terrified of what happens when everything is finalized. My daughter, God, she floored me. She told me she wasn't crying for herself, she was crying for me. Because of how much I must be hurting. I comforted her, told her I was going to be okay. Then she asked me for a promise. I've never broken a promise to my kids. She asked me, "If someday Mom loses her house and has nowhere to go, will you let her stay here? Just for a little while?" Even with all this pain, she still looked out for her mom. I couldn't say no. I promised. Later, she asked her mom to promise something too, that she'd stop talking to him. Jessica agreed. That lasted 2 weeks. Then she started sneaking around again. Quick little errands to Target. I caught on. We fought. She promised again to stop seeing him. But apparently, they're still in touch. She says she's caught feelings for him now. I haven't told my daughter. She'll figure it out. You can't lie to a kid like her forever. She sees everything. Right now, I'm working on refinancing the house. Jessica's trying to buy one of her own, with her rich and co-signing for her. Hopefully she finds something soon. There's one more thing, and yeah, I know it's controversial. Yes, I have proof. Yes, I know everything about the guy. I know his name. I know he's married with 3 kids. I could easily blow up his life. But I've decided not to tell his wife. It's not noble. It's not about protecting her. It's selfish, plain and simple. Here's why. If I expose him, maybe his wife leaves him. And then Jessica has a clear runway to her next life. A wealthy man, fancy dates, luxurious vacations, someone who can cover her bills. Meanwhile, I'll be here, still working my tail off to stay afloat. But if I don't say anything, he stays married. Their affair stays a secret. He can't take her out. Can't send her money. All those dates have to be quick, in hiding, probably at her place. She'll get to see how much of a side piece she really is. And now that she's caught feelings, she's gonna learn the hard way. She'll have to sit back and wait to see if he's actually willing to leave his wife and kids for her. I'm betting he won't. And if he does, so be it. But it won't be because I made it easy. Let him do the dirty work. I'm not helping them write their fairy tale. Funny enough, her rich aunt pulled the same thing, had an affair with a married man. When his wife found out and left, she moved right in. Went from broke single mom to millionaire. That might happen here. But not because of me. I promised my kids stability, and I've kept my word. In August, the divorce was finalized. Jessica stayed at the house while she house hunted. But it's been rough. She's been outbid 16 times so far. Eventually, she found a house nearby that she liked, and I managed to speak with the owner directly. He agreed to let her have it without taking other offers. Honestly, it felt like a win, not just for her, but for the kids too. They're just 30 seconds away now. I can walk over if they need anything, and that kind of closeness means the world to me. The divorce agreement worked out in my favor. No alimony, no child support, 50-50 custody. I kept the house and just had to pay her the equity. I was also lucky enough to refinance before interest rates exploded. Over the next few months, I focused on making the house feel like home again. I refurnished it, prioritized time with my kids, and did my best to stay positive. The gym remained my daily therapy, and work kept me grounded. I've stayed civil with Jessica throughout this process, and honestly, that helped our kids adjust. She even joined us for Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve at my sister's place. I know some people probably think I'm out of my mind for being so forgiving, but truthfully, letting go of resentment and giving our kids a normal holiday meant more to me than any petty revenge. Financially, I'm doing really well. As for Jessica, I'm not so sure. Budgeting was never her strong suit. We're supposed to split kid-related costs, but I've ended up covering more than half. That's okay though. I'd rather they have what they need without stress. Then, in December, I met someone. She's incredible. Divorced, 2 kids of her own, lives about an hour away. Because of our custody schedules, we only see each other a couple times a month, but she makes me happy in a way I haven't felt in years. I don't know much about Jessica's dating life now, whether she's still seeing him or moved on to others. I know she's been with a few people. I just don't ask anymore. One night, she went out and ended up getting jumped. I won't lie, it made me laugh. As for the guy she cheated with, I told a couple of our mutual friends. One couple I'm especially close with ran into him and his family at an event. They started chatting casually, right in front of his wife, and began dropping hints. Mentioned they'd been talking to me, that I knew everything, and hadn't done anything yet. Then they started making jokes like, "Man, if he ever decides to go after that guy, they won't find the body for 50 years. They were laughing, just watching the sweat build on this guy's face, knowing full well he was caught, but pretending they didn't know it was him. I doubt Jessica ever told him I knew. So I'm sure that was a fun little surprise. Eventually, I'll run into him. I'm not looking for it, but if it happens, it happens. Now, 16 months since D-Day, here's where I'm at. I've got a new girlfriend. A strong relationship with my kids. A job I enjoy. My body's in the best shape it's ever been, and financially, I'm thriving. I couldn't have written a better ending for myself. To anyone else going through something like this, stay positive. Don't let bitterness consume you. Try to handle the divorce without lawyers if you can, especially if money's tight. Stay civil for your kids. Hit the gym. Focus on your future. And remember, they're gone. They're not coming back. And that's okay. Trust is gone, move on and find someone who earns it. And hey, if dating's tough, give apps like Bumble a shot. They work. I had suggested therapy to him more than once, maybe for anxiety, depression, or even hypochondria, but he always refused. He was convinced he had cancer or some other terminal illness. It created this constant, daily tension in our lives. But when the husband of the woman he was having an affair with reached out to me on Facebook, it all started to make sense. His phantom illnesses? The panic attacks? The rashes and pain he couldn't explain? It wasn't cancer. It was guilt. It was stress from carrying on a double life. He had been cheating on me for 2 years. He'd hook up with her on work trips, and they'd even plan secret hotel meetings, twice that I know of. One trip she paid for, the other? Charged to a credit card I didn't even know he had. They used a fake Facebook Messenger account to talk, sending explicit photos and keeping up a cyber relationship when they couldn't see each other in person. When I finally confronted him, he admitted that he'd even gone for extra medical testing, afraid he might have caught something from her. Meanwhile, our own physical relationship had completely fallen apart since 2021. I thought it was stress or his health issues. Turns out he was just afraid to touch me. Afraid to pass something along. That betrayal cuts deeper than I know how to explain. It wasn't just the affair. It was 2 years of feeling unloved, unappreciated, and unwanted. 2 years of being made to feel like I was the problem. All while I was holding our entire life together, working full-time and managing almost everything at home. No kids, just the 2 of us, but it felt like I was carrying the weight of 10 people. We moved across the country earlier this year. I thought maybe a fresh start would help. We left the state where she lived, but they still stayed in touch. And then in early December, she came to town for work. They met up again. He swears they only talked in the car. Says they didn't go to a hotel. That's the same version she gave. And maybe they're telling the truth. But I don't believe in coincidences like that anymore. I've been crying every day. I can barely eat. This morning, I finally scheduled an appointment to see a therapist. I've also booked a consultation with a divorce attorney in the next few weeks. I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but I need information, and I need help. Now he's suddenly apologizing, saying he'll do anything to fix it. Begging me to stay. Crying. Using all the same lines people always seem to use when they get caught. He says I'm not to blame. But he can't give me a reason why he did it. That's the part that's breaking me, the cheating, yes. But also the constant lying. The way he gaslit me for 2 years, made me feel crazy, emotionally neglected me, and made me think it was all in my head. The way he treated me like a burden. Just 6 months ago, I asked him if we could try marriage counseling. He told me I was the one who needed therapy. Thank God I have supportive family and a few close friends. But they're thousands of miles away, and most days I feel completely alone. We just bought this house last year. I don't even know what it would cost to get out of the mortgage. I feel trapped. There is one small relief. After my grandmother's passing, I'm set to inherit a decent amount of money. Not life-changing, but enough to cover a year's salary. That should come through in about 6 to 8 weeks once everything is finalized. There's no way I'm putting that money in any account he can touch. When I meet with the attorney, that's something I'll definitely bring up. The last 2 years have worn me down. And now this affair, it's crushed me. I feel like I've lost myself. I believe I can handle this. I have to. But it still hurts. We've spent 15 years together. He was supposed to be my best friend. I've put his career above mine. I followed him across the country, giving up so much for his opportunities. And now I'm just scared of making the wrong choice. But deep down, my gut is screaming the truth I don't want to say out loud. It's time to leave this man. This man who lied to me. Who deceived me. Who made me feel like I was crazy. and never once had the courage to tell me the truth.